Now, you may well know I never sell by the hourly rate. I sell by a retainer or on a flat fee to get the job done. However, there is a method to calculating that retainer, and that method starts with an hourly fee. Over the course of nearly 13 years in business as a PI, I have raised my hourly rates on several occasions. Many PIs seem reluctant to raise their rates, and I understand their fears. If they raise their rates, they may lose some business, but then they may gain some business too. Let's look at a few scenarios for private investigators. I work with several PIs that mostly only do subcontract work. When I started, all I did was subcontract work. Now my company still has a few subcontract clients, and that workload is less than 10% of all of our work. If you mostly do subcontracting, then raising your rates may not be as easily done as you would hope. If you are growing your subcontract client base, then it can easily be done with some good planning and strategically handling the situation. When I started as a PI, I worked exclusively 100% for one client, making $25 an hour flat rate on workers' compensation surveillance cases. When I say flat rate, I mean I got paid a flat fee, $200 a day for 8 hours of day of surveillance. It didn't matter how long it took me to get to the job. It didn't matter how many miles I drove. It didn't matter how long it took me to write my report or compile my video. I got a flat fee. This video is sponsored by OREP Insurance and Working PI Magazine. OREP is a leading provider of private investigator liability insurance. Visit orep.org for a quote today. Now, I was very grateful and I am very thankful that I was afforded that opportunity to get so much experience. I was able to literally work 6 to 7 days a week, so my experience level grew quickly. I also hit the cap of earnings potential very quickly too. There is still only so many hours in the day, so many days in the week, and so many weeks in the year. After a few years, I started slowly building up my portfolio of subcontract clients. I was able to locate national firms as well as local firms that were willing to hire me for similar work, and much to my surprise, when I spoke with them, most were very happy to take me on as a new sub at higher rates. In fact, most also paid mileage and travel time and covered report and video editing time as well. Suddenly, I found myself making $35 to $40 an hour as a sub and getting some of that other pay like mileage and travel time and report time. As time passed, I found myself working more and more with those other vendors than with my original vendor. I finally came to the point where I had to raise my rates. It was really hard at first. I was so worried I was going to lose so much work, but I remember the words of a very wise man. Busy is not profitable, profitable is profitable. I knew I had to be willing to risk those $200 a day jobs and go full bore after those 400 plus day jobs. So I informed that original company and a couple of other clients I was raising my sub rates at the beginning of the year from $25 to $35 an hour, and I wanted to continue to work with them to help us both succeed. Their response was, yeah, thanks, but no thanks. After that, I contacted all of my vendors. I let them know I had some additional free time and I could expand my geographical area as well. That compiled with locating new subcontract clients, I quickly found myself back to working 6 to 7 days a week. The big difference was I was making a lot more money. Now, after a couple of years had gone by, I had worked myself into doing a lot of direct hire work with private clients. This I found to be even more lucrative. I was charging $65 an hour plus mileage, plus travel time, plus report time, video editing time, research time, and any other time or expense that was related to the case. At this point, I found myself in the situation where I could make $700 to $1,000 a day working for private clients or $300 to $400 a day working for my sub-clients. As I continued to see my private client base grow, I knew I had to make some changes. As the end of the year was approaching, I notified my subcontract clients that my subcontract rates were going up to $50 an hour. Then I waited, and then the emails came in. Most actually either agreed or made a counter offer, and a few just said, sorry, we can't do that. The clients that could not come to terms with the higher rate, I also noted, were the biggest pain in the butt clients that I had. They were the ones that demanded more, paid the least, and micromanaged the heck out of the cases. Now, I never broke off any of those relationships on a sour note, and some still to this day will check in to see how I am doing and sometimes see if I can cover a case for them. Usually this is on an emergency basis, and they are usually more than happy to work with me on my terms. If all of your clients are insurance companies, you may be in a different situation. As a general rule, insurance companies want to pay a flat rate per job based on an hourly rate. Very hard, in fact impossible in most cases, to raise your rates with them if you are in their higher tier of pay. But You can go out and bid other insurance companies at a higher rate. When you land those new contracts, you can start swapping some of the lower paying job hours with the jobs from the new client. This can be a little more scary though, as insurance work can be plentiful, but it is a what have you done for me lately world. You can also start offering similar services to attorneys and law firms. As a general rule, you can charge more per hour for surveillance when working for an attorney or a law firm, but the work may be much more sporadic. I do the same with my attorney clients as I did with my subcontract clients. Once my workload is full, it is time to raise my rates. I remember the first time I did this, I had a huge client that I did a lot of criminal defense work with. In fact, he brought me in under his wing and he showed me the ropes in doing criminal defense investigation. The problem was at that time he was my lowest paying client. I constantly found myself struggling to find enough hours to get all of the workload completed. He was taken back when I told him I was raising my rates. I let him know I had raised my rates a couple of years prior, but I would raise his rates half this coming year and a half the next year. He did understand why I had to raise my rates, but he said he wasn't able to pay that much and we had to part ways. Now, not more than a year went by and he called me and wanted to know if I could work some cases for him. We discussed the hourly rate, he agreed to my proposal, and we continued to work for many more years together. If you are providing the quality of service the client wants, they will pay you for the work product that they need. Here is the big secret that you've been waiting for, folks. When you are busier than you care to be, the phone never stops ringing, and everybody is happy to pay your current rates, then it is most likely time for you to raise your rates